Hi guys, so I am going to show you how to make loose-ended dreads today. I'm so excited. So everybody has their own method of making wool dreads. So you want to be able to try to keep them a little bit more fluffy than normal. This is after one step of rolling out the dreads. And then I cut them in half, and then I just use this little comb to brush out all the ends where I'm going to add the loose bits. And because these ones are going to be permanent, I left the pointy end undone, and I'm just going to comb this end out and install that afterwards, because the middle is a little bit more thick than the end. I thought it would be more stable, I guess, to hold the wool together. So after you comb some out, you're going to get a lock of wool, and this is just unprocessed wool locks. A lot of people use this for doll hair, or the reborn babies, I think they're called. They just take this and use, I can't even really show you because it's so light, but they just use a couple strands at a time and they root the reborn baby's hair. And I figured that it would work just as well for the loose-ended dreads because it's so soft. So what I do is I take a lock, and you want to clean all of the matter out of it, like all of the hay or anything else that was in it. You can process your own. It's really easy. You're going to want to get longer locks because the more that you comb them out, the more hair you're going to lose. And again, you just use this and you comb it out, and that helps take any of the matter out, and it will loosen up the curl a little bit, and then you can wash it. And there's so many videos on YouTube on how to process wool locks. I'm not going to go over that with you guys. You can just look that up on your own. So you take your combed out wool dread, and then you take your lock of wool, and I use styrofoam. It's a little bit obnoxious of a sound, but it doesn't really bother me too much because in between each step it kind of takes a while, so you just only really hear it a little bit at a time. So what I do is I comb this out, and then I take the lock, and I don't know if you can see because it's kind of bright. Okay, so I take the two, I put them together, and I just like roll it up and try to keep it a little tight. That way the fibers want to felt back together and it's not such a mess for you. You also want to make sure that you have a good section to combine, like as if you were going to do human hair extensions. You don't want this little teeny section because all the hair will come out and it'll be all over the place, and you don't want to waste that. So after you've wrapped it up, you can use a felting needle, and I have this fancy one. I got this off of Amazon. It was like $6. Or you can get the singles and just like tape them together like I used to use. It's also works really well. And you just want, oh, it's locked. Okay. So you just want to kind of needle felt the wool together and back to itself. And I don't think that you guys can even see this. It's so bright in here right now. All right, so the brightness is coming from my other windows, but I'm not shut that. So just keep rolling it up on itself and felting it together with the needle a little bit. Be really careful, don't stab yourself in the finger with this. The guard is wonderful, but it does not stop anything. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've already broken a couple of these off. One was in my finger, so I can tell you honestly that didn't tickle. Anyways, you're going to just want to keep going up and down and trying to really set this lock into the wool. As long as you keep working it, and what I like to do, I don't think you can really see it very well, but I like to pull the wool over on itself before I stick the needle in. And that really, really helps with step 2. And I'm going to show you that right now after a little bit of felting. Okay, so after that, I'm just going to treat this like a regular wool dread and just roll it on my mat. So I'm going to wet this section, and I have soapy water, which I just use any organic soap. I know a lot of people are quite particular with the soaps that they use, but I feel like any organic soap is just fine. So I take that wet section and I really want to felt it well. So I go over it a few times, and you're going to lose a lot of hair in this process, or at least I've found that I lose a lot of hair in this process. So you want to make sure that you grab a lock that is similar in thickness as the wool thread that you're using. Like if you're going to use a thinner thread, get a thinner lock. And you can see this is already starting to felt together. Here is the loose lock. Here is where it's started to connect with the felting needle, and the rest of the lock that I did not comb yet, or hadn't combed at all. I'm gonna re-wet it and keep rolling. You don't need a mat, you can just use a towel. I find that the mat helps with the slippage, but it's really not necessary. After that, started to felt together. I wet it again, and this is where you really have to put like some muscle into it. I like to try to kind of squeeze it together as I'm rolling it. That way it kind of brings the lumps back, and I really like to add that extra character to my wool dreads. I feel like the straight ones just aren't my style. So this is really similar to pinch rolling and what you would do with your natural dreads doing regular maintenance, but that's also pretty self-explanatory. I don't think that I really need to go over that with you guys. There's tons and tons of videos on how to pinch roll, and just go ahead and take that info and put it into this process. So just keep rolling. And this is felting the wool together, or back together, and then also felting the wool lock to the wool roving. And it's going to add lots of character up here, which is totally okay, because after this you're going to brush it out anyways, and during that process you also lose a little bit of hair. So it's another reason why I try to get a wool lock that is close to the same size as the wool dread. Now you can throw this in the washing machine. I know a lot of people use the washing machine method to make dreads. The only problem with this is once you've put this raw, unprocessed wool into your pillowcase and then into the washer, it comes out like the biggest fluff ball, and it is so hard to comb out. So for me, the amount of time that it takes to do that, it's not worth it. And I find that I get really frustrated and I lose a lot more hair out of the end. I don't think it's really necessary, since you get a pretty good result with just doing the hand felting. And I like to go back up over the section that I combed out, and then back down, and then back up again, and then back down again. I find that it really makes a big difference in how the wool roving grabs the actual wool lock itself. And you don't have to use the same kind of wool for the lock that you used for the roving. This is Corriedale, I think. And this is mohair, I believe. I have more. You can get it in all kinds of colors, natural or dyed, more curly, longer pieces. Here's some hand-dyed pieces. These locks are Teeswater. They come out super, super curly and crinkly. Like these ones, which are so cute. I love them so much. But they're not the typical locks ends that you find online. I got this mohair off Amazon. I just searched doll hair, and I do not prefer this. It worked, but it doesn't work very well. Here's some more. This one is alpaca. And I would not suggest using this. It is way too soft and silky. It's gorgeous for doll hair, but it's not easy to comb out. So once you felt it into the lock, it doesn't end up looking like you want it to look. I've tried rose fiber, Rami fiber. Here is another alpaca lock, which I like these a lot. I think these are great for adding texture, but I don't like them for the loose ends. I found that the mohair that is processed, you can just find this on Etsy. This is probably the best. You're going to want something that is longer than 7 inches because, like I said, you have to have a bunch at the top to be able to combine the two, or else it's just going to shed everywhere. So, real quick, just again, take the lock, and take the wool dread that you want. See if I can do this like not on the mat. Just wrap it around. Put it together. Needle felt it. And then from here, we just get it wet and roll it. Like I said, it's really easy. It's just time consuming, and you can get frustrated if you don't really pay attention to what you're doing. You can end up felting the loose end really easy. So I try to not even get that wet so that it doesn't have a possibility of felting, or a lower possibility of felting. And then I get it wet again, and then just pinch roll, or finger roll, or whatever you want to call it. And you see how there's no bubbles? I'm not using that much soap. You just want enough soap to create a little bit of slippage so that the fibers slide together and then stay there. If you add too much soap, they'll probably just slide right back out. This one's going to be a lot of fun. I can already see the sides poking out. I love that look. See how it brought all the character back to the lock right here? And obviously if this was white on white, you wouldn't be seeing all of these. And you can over dye this brown to any color that you want, any darker color. If you wanted to do a light color, I would definitely suggest staying with a natural white or blonde colored wool. And at this point, I would not usually brush this out because you're going to lose a lot of hair. But it's this easy. Just go over it a few times slowly like you would a knot in a kid's hair. You don't want to put too much stress on it because you want it to be able to walk up on itself too. That's it. That's how I add wispy ends or loose ends. And it's so much fun. Let's brush this one out real quick too. That's it. I'm going to leave the loop there because I think it's cute. And beat some of the water out of it. Hey, why not? I don't have another dry towel with me. This one's pretty wet already. But that's it. That's how I add the loose ends. I hope you guys find this to be helpful. Thanks for watching.